Hi guys, Oliver here from Spitfire Audio. In this video, I want to do something slightly different. I'm going to do a live composition right here with you. So many times I'm being asked by producers, directors, agencies for TV adverts, etc. to produce a score or a track that is emotional, but then also it's going to be there in a couple of hours. So what do? I've got a few tips and tricks that I use. Might be different for everyone else, and it'd be great if you guys shared your ideas as well. But I thought it'd be perfect to demonstrate it with our Eric Whitacre Choir, because what is more emotional than a human voice? And we've recorded in a way here evolutions. I'm not sure if you heard of those. These are pre-recorded phrases. It stays in the same pitch, of course, what the pitch that you desire, but the articulations change, the dynamics change, etc. And it just gives a feel of amazing realism and emotion. However, I've made some notes here, what I pay attention to when having to write a quick track. And I'm going to try to write a quick track. I want to just first talk about these points here. So don't overcomplicate yourself. Basically, this is not the moment to try and be Beethoven or Mozart. I think just simple things, focus on what you need to do and your job, maybe the dialogue, etc. Find your voice and style, I think, of course, as long as it allows it. If you need to write to temp track, maybe then it's not the best time to bring in your voice and style. But even then, I guess you have opportunities to bring in your own maybe signature chord changes or kind of sounds that you use. Number 3, and that's a big one for me and I imagine for everyone, don't judge your composition or idea, let it flow. So don't, many times I go like, and it might be like, I don't want this, and that's kind of almost like a writer's block. So what I'm trying to do is getting an idea down, let it be how it is, and then maybe later I revisit it and I change it around. Number 4, I think use beautiful sounds. It refers to point number 1, don't overcomplicate yourself. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's hard to write technically or orchestrate on a level that maybe, people like Stravinsky have already done. But what we have here is a whole new bunch of instruments, technology, of sounds that we have right under our fingertips. So let's use them and try to be creative with what we have. So I've made a template here, and I think that's one of the most important things actually. And basically what I did is I'm using Eric Whitacre Choir because that's the purpose of the demonstration. And then I've used some other sounds, mainly Albion Neo, and some other of my favorite sounds. I'm just going to take you through as I'm going to do the composition. So basically I want to start it off with the Eric Whitacre Choir here. And basically I went in here. I'm going to use tutti, so I'm mainly going to use tutti patches. Basically means the whole choir or the whole ensemble is right under my fingertip, laid out on the keyboard here, so I don't have to worry, where are my sopranos, where are my basses, where does the violin sit, etc. So you have it nicely mixed for you, and it's going to sound balanced and nice. So if you load up this patch here, evolutions, as I mentioned, pre-recorded phrases, special, these breathy oohs come up here, and they're very inspirational. Just absolutely fantastic. And already these 3 chords, you can do a whole lot with those. If we just have fluctuating oohs as well, so it does a little more. And I mean, with these sounds, you are sorted in terms of emotion. It's just pure beauty. I also have like these kind of go-to chords if I'm being asked this kind of task, like emotional, quick, kind of, my quick go-to chord. So I like to write in F minor. And then if you just go the step down in the minor scale here, F minor, E flat major, D flat major. That already sounds super nice. Or maybe I go C minor, something like G minor, F minor. It's also nice, maybe a bit of a clumsy change, the last one, but you get what I mean. So I think I'm just gonna lay down some stuff and start composing. I'm gonna comment a little bit, and I'm gonna try to do it, I guess, as fast as possible, while trying and keeping it nice. My tempo is 100. I think it's an emotional tempo, so kind of down, not too slow, but also not an upbeat tempo. I'm gonna just actually use what I've used before, so C minor, G minor, F, I think I've used, and then maybe from there try something else. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, I think I've got it here. So. Again. And again. Okay, I think that's enough, around 2 minutes. And you get the idea. It's kind of, it goes in circles, it goes around, it's emotional, it's maybe perfectly suitable for an underscore. It implies a little bit of a melody, which I will enhance. Here I played with both hands, so I've got to program quickly this one here. Dynamics, very important with our libraries. So that's how you breathe life into our patches. And you realized here I left like little breaks there. So I think with singers, it's nice to create these waves of chords, if you will. I've got a second patch here, just in case. I guess I can maybe thin out a little bit my voicings here to not have everything exactly the same. Maybe do that here as well. Actually, maybe here they come in. Did it the wrong way around. So maybe bring in a bit of a bass note here. And then also, if you want to keep it light and prepare for a big change, don't play the root note right on the bottom yet. So it's still a little bit up in the air, which kind of color and which chord you're going for. And it helps with the build up, I believe. So here I'm playing a D and not a G. And then here, instead of an E flat, I play a G as well. and then we can dig into the bass notes. So actually here in the end, I'm going to play an E flat and up there. Maybe turn the volume up a little bit of those basses. So let's call that bass. So that's a very soft bass there. I'm later on going to bring in, I think, a bit of a heavier bass. I've loaded up here some basses, dynamic swell. Again, that's an evolution as well. I mean, this is just so rich and beautiful. Lovely. I'm actually just going to put that in here. Let me just remind myself what I've played here. Okay, I see what I'm doing here. Last chord. Here I held on a little bit too long. I think it's better to stop with the rest here as well. So maybe turn it up a little bit here. So, and then here, when I want to do a change here, I think, so not have the breathy ooze, I'm just going to cut this here, split, and take this here. I've loaded up some aleatoric R's. So R's are usually a little bit more powerful within the vocals. Oh, this is really cool. So it has like this wonderful effect of like things are being passed around. This is just so wonderfully orchestrated and produced by Eric Whitacre. Let's see how this works. Actually, before I'm going to play it back to you again, I'm going to add some evos here and some really soft, gentle evos to add a little bit of spark kind of behind my composition. So I've loaded here bubbling and also the mic position here. I'm only using ambient and gallery, whereas before I'm also using closed mics and the trees to have more definition. So that is something very useful within your mix, that you can choose a different mic position. And it's recorded at Air Studios in a hall, so you have a lot of room to play with. Just this kind of drone-like sound. I'm just going to lay this down. You know what? And then also not to make you to listen to the whole thing again. I'm going to just here play this all the way through. We'll worry about the dynamics here later. Maybe just do something a little bit random for the moment. So it's not repetitive, because obviously if I play it for 2 minutes, we didn't record 2 minutes of it. These evos, I'm not sure, maybe around 20-30 seconds, and then it becomes a loop, obviously, so we don't want to hear that rhythmic pulses. Oh, very wonderful, but I think I'm going to put that in later. Soprano evo, episodic evolution, so it's doing a little more, if we have a listen. Oh, really lovely. So I'm actually gonna too early. I was really enjoying this. Oh, I think that's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love composing like that. It's just pure joy and just a pleasure for the ear. Let me see. This is the same. I'm going to try and do some alto voices here. Maybe around here, coming in with something. Yeah, so I'm going to keep it in until here as well. I think it's quite nice. Making sure it starts there. Okay. Cool. I think this bit is quite nice. Oh, actually, I've got here. So this is now Albion 5 and Albion Neo mixture. So I'm using here strings B section. So Albion Neo, the string section is halved, basically. So you can have A and B together to create the whole string ensemble, or just have a smaller section if you have a kind of a smaller, more detailed sound. So I'm using here only B. Con legno tratto is when the player plays with the bow, with the back of the bow. So very soft sound. Just quickly showing you this. Just going to add a little sprinkle right on top where the singers can't reach, basically. And then I'm also using Albion Tundra, these traveling trems. One of my favorites. Works all the time. It's fantastic. Maybe a little bit more. The combination of those sounds something like this. And I'm just going to put this down. Maybe around here. Then I'm going to add some strings here. As I was saying before, Albion Neo, the string section was divided. Here I'm using both parts, A and B, to create a large sound. I want to use that on the low ends here. I'm using sul tasto, which is heaven on earth kind of sound. or something like that, maybe. Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna start. Maybe turn it up a little bit so I can hear what I'm doing. Gonna start here on my A flat major. Cool, okay. I think that's fine for the moment. I might have to just create these waves I'm doing here. Just a little nicer. Cool. Then strings B. I'm calling them B. It's a bit irritating, so maybe 2 and 1 here. I just want to have a little bit of a stronger sound here, so I have sul tasto, but layered with flautando consort. So it gives a little bit of a stronger sound because I want to play some low notes there, I guess. Let me just turn this up as well. Wow, this string sound is so good. Cool. These are a little too loud now. The bends, I'm not sure whether I can bring them in, maybe. Because it bends from a 5th up, so I can't do A flat, then I'm being given a D flat, basically. It slides up from a D flat, which will... Actually, I could probably do it here. I love that sound. Again, these are just sounds that I've loaded that I've been playing with Albion Neo recently, so I quite like that kind of bend there and that sound. So let's just put that in here. Ah, very lovely. Cool, just turn that down a little bit. Woodwinds, I love these long, hollow sounds. Very choral-like, but it's got a saxophone in there, so you hear that raspiness, you hear that the reed sound in there, which is kind of warm. It's almost like a tape saturation within the orchestra itself. It sounds also very choral-like, so I'm not sure where it's going to add so much. Maybe I can just give a hint onto the melody here. 1 second, here we go. It's a little clumsy there, going to B flat, so I don't like that. Maybe I do what the strings do, just go to an F there. I liked it here. You could hear the timbre of the woodwinds there, or I guess the saxophone. Then the long pulses are quite interesting here on the brass. could do something like that. So obviously going to add here dynamics, swell up, and die down. Cool. Just doing some adjustments here. I can already hear mix-wise, but this shall not be kind of a mixing tutorial. I want to show you my approach of writing here, which I believe is very interesting to see how everyone has their different approach of doing this. So I loaded up here some arpeggios from Albion Neo as well. Again, prepared the sound a little bit, filtered it out how I like to hear it. I put a sample delay on it. So basically delayed the right side a little bit, so it sounds like it's coming from both sides. I love these Brunel loops on Albion Neo. Check them out, they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think I'm just gonna add a little bit of movement here. For me, this is the modern touch. So these kind of synthesizer, Juno, 60-ish kind of sounds, very kind of trendy at the moment, I'd say. Cool, I quite like that. I'm gonna do that until here. Here I'm planning a change. Let's see whether we have kind of enough time to do this. Okay, here we are. Then, yeah, for the change afterwards, I've chosen an arpeggio that's it's kind of the same thing, but sped up. Let's see. I guess it could work. Maybe a matter of taste, I guess. Well, like pretty much everything. But here we go. I'm just going to use them for now. Bring in some movement. Again, I probably wouldn't do it exactly like that usually, but just for the moment. Maybe a bit of tempo. I've loaded some shakers here. They're my own from my sample library, just because I know them pretty well. That could work. Yeah, quite like that. Okay, there I'm running maybe a little bit into a dead end. I need to see how I'm gonna continue this. I quite like the moods. I mean, it could continue like that really, and just the sounds evolving here. These R's, they're already opening up, so I might just prolong these arps and the shaker loops as well. I'll be in one Easter Island hit whenever something important is happening with a big change. These guys are absolutely fantastic. Cool, the hit is there. I've floated up some taikos because I always like them, but not sure whether I can make them fit. Kind of. I could possibly make it work, but let's mute them for now. The idea is there. And then I've got my sub here, so I'm going to add a bass, and then my sine even lower than the sub 60 here, Oliver Arnold's toolkit I'm using. Pretty nice sound. Pretty cool. So I guess that would be good here for the change. Or maybe I could bring it in here slow. Cool. I'm going to a different chord here, I believe. A flat major. Okay. So I would say I'm gonna finish probably the last bit by myself with the same kind of approach. I think you got the idea. Here what I do usually with the sine wave is double this up. No modulation, because the modulation makes it wobble. So that's not necessary. And then I'm basically going to pitch this down 1 octave and double up with a sub 60 there. So if you have a subwoofer or big speakers, then you can really hear the whole composition shaking. So I hope this was insightful for you. Please check the mix below. I'm going to finish the track, and so you can listen what I've added and how I've altered the mix. And thank you very much for listening and watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.